You fail to understand, and the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
Hey guys, and thanks for joining me. I don't even know if anybody's here because it's like Thanksgiving in the US and it's dinner time and people are probably too zoned out. So yeah, there's a couple of people there. Hey, just say hi, tell me, let me see who's there. Oh, there's a few people here. Hey Steve, hey Nasty Nathaniel. April in Amsterdam, thanks a lot. So yeah, speaking of that fear from my intro, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about that. I was not intending to go live today. I wasn't intending to do anything because I've been prepping for my book release tomorrow. And then I started thinking about my journey this past year and where I was at in February this year versus where I'm at now. Not that I consider that I'm in some great place, but I have to tell you, those short months ago, I was sitting on my sofa and I'd been there for like a year and a half and I'd been playing Overwatch for 10 hours a day because I literally had no idea what my personal outcome was going to be. I had left Scientology. I don't know, it was the early lockdown when I really in earnest started to disengage from that organization, although my journey out began many years before that when I started to become aware of some of the just outrageous abuses. But yeah, I sat there for a year and a half. My journey from leaving up until I ended up a year and a half ago, I'll get into that at some point. Some of that's in my book. And I have to tell you, I'm not here to hawk a book. I'm here to talk about the journey of how I got there. So it was literally a year ago, I was thankless. I had nothing to be thankful for. I thought my outcome was entirely uncertain. I didn't know if I was going to survive. It's difficult for me to talk about, but I have to talk to you guys about it because you did play a role in that. The community, it's not the big, I've accumulated, some supporters enough that they really made a difference. But at some point last February, it's January, February, I got up off my ass and I walked across to my computer and I sat down and I started writing. Not so much because I wanted to publish a book, but because I wanted to leave a record of my experience and my existence, and I didn't want it to be just what was on the internet about me or what people thought about me or, the work that I'd done for Scientology for 3 decades. I wanted there to be some other kind of a record, and I wasn't really thinking I'm gonna write a book and I'm gonna get it published and all this kind of stuff. I just started writing because I wanted to write my story and because I had done so much writing in my life, writing mostly for film and commercials and creating advertising campaigns and doing all this work. It was important to me that, it was really important to me that it not just be a record of what happened, but that it somehow contained enough of my expressive nature that people got a sense of who I was, even if they found it on my computer and I was like, disappeared somewhere. Something that my kids could read and other people could read. And after a time, I got far enough into it and I started to feel better. It was the weirdest thing. I started to lose interest in playing video games. I started to feel better. People asked me, was writing a book therapeutic? And it was, yeah, after the fact. I mean, it wasn't like I got up off my ass and I said, oh, I'm going to go to my computer and get some therapy. It was nothing like that. It was really more of a really desperate kind of a move. And people started supporting the effort who started to read it and they were like, yeah, you need to publish this, you need to finish this. So I really dug in earnest. And I was struggling through, when I really disengaged with Scientology and made the decision to leave and started reaching out to friends of mine like Jeff Hawkins and Mike Render and Mark Headley and actually reconnecting with these people who had been friends of mine at one time. I didn't realize, some people were just able to walk away. I've gotten messages from people, oh, I was in the Sea Org, I was in Scientology for a couple of decades. Hey, it wasn't a big problem. It has a lot to do, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think it has a lot to do with when you leave, what kind of a emotional structure do you have? What kind of a support structure do you have? Do you have a job? You know, what kind of shape is your identity in? Because I think some people leave and it's easy. Some people leave and it's difficult. Some people leave and sort of never really recover, but they're able to convert whatever their emotional energy is into something that, you know, keeps them from collapsing. But I really had a really severe emotional and physical collapse, because all of a sudden the momentum ran out, and I realized that I had just walked away from the only community and the only support system that I'd known for most of my adult life. And for 30 years, my career, I mean, even though I had, you know, was engaged in some other projects, not much, and then it sort of hit me like a wall, like I just ran into a wall, and then that's how I sort of ended up on my sofa. And it was rough. I mean, I consider myself that I was lucky to survive. And here I am. And I originally connected with YouTube. I mean, I'd been on YouTube years ago doing stuff for the Church Against anonymously, and I'd done various different projects with YouTube and social media. So it wasn't like it wasn't my first rodeo. So, but I jumped on there. I thought, you know, I discovered the world of self-publishing. I should probably start there. Once I decided to publish the book, I started writing proposals. I sought advice from Mike Rinder and some other people. I started writing proposals. I looked for a literary agent. I wrote proposals to publishing houses. Nobody wanted to publish my book because essentially the consensus was, well, if you're not a celebrity and you didn't work with L. Ron Hubbard every day for years, then we're not interested in publishing it. Because, you know, they really want that, I guess, or if you don't have pictures of you know, David Miscavige, you know, sexually molesting a goat or something. If you don't have some incendiary thing, we're not going to publish it. Because my experience, so much of it was observational, and so much of it was from a perspective that pretty much nobody else had. Because of the weird circumstances of my relationship with the church. So, but fortunately, one of those publishers said, you know, you should, you know, he read part of the book and he really liked it, but he's like, I can't publish it because you're not famous, which I understood because it's a big investment for them to publish a book. He said, you should try self-publishing, which I thought that's just what vanity authors did. I thought people did that so they could go, oh, I wrote a book, you know, like people who collected wine and had a real estate portfolio, that's just what they did, right? So, no offense to wine connoisseurs. But anyway, I looked into self-publishing and I discovered, and a lot of you may be way ahead of me on this, but I discovered that what had happened in publishing is the same thing that happened essentially with the music business, in that, you know, artists don't need record companies anymore. People have been hugely successful releasing music on the online platforms, and then touring, which is, you know, the most lucrative activity for performing artists is not recording, it's touring. So I just buried myself in this whole deal, and I said, oh yeah, I helped, back in the 80s, I helped to sell 10 million Dianetics books. I mean, I think I can figure this out. So anyway, then I started becoming hopeful about something, not even about, you know, becoming like a best-selling author or anything like that, but just about having completed this project and the way that it sort of pulled me out of this hole. I didn't think this would be tough, but when I think about that and sitting here talking to you guys about it, I get more emotional than I thought I would, because I wanted to be celebratory about this. But that's kind of what happened. So, and my book is and I'm not here to sell it, but I want to share my journey with having done this, because it's happening tomorrow. I'm like, you know, and I didn't wait. I think most self-published authors, they wait to get a physical copy in their hands. But for me, like, I went on Amazon and they're like, yep, it's all ready to go. The print version's going to be released tomorrow. And I'm like, somebody out there is going to see the physical version of my book probably before I do, so it's a little bit scary. The Kindle version, you can pre-order that, but it's all going to be available tomorrow. Then there'll be a hardback, and then there'll be an audiobook, and I'm going to try to get those done before the end of the year. So at least that's my hope. But then I originally went on YouTube last July to promote the book, and it's just coming out now. But the weird thing about YouTube is you poke your head out and you go, oh, I have a book. And they're like, okay, good, what else is new? Like literally, people want to know things, they want to ask questions, they want to hear from you, which is why I started a channel and started to speak out. I'm not the greatest at storing questions, but anyway. Anyway, that was the whole point. The whole point was, and I have to tell you, it's a really personal book. Like it's not just like a eyewitness expose. I mean, a lot of the stuff is I had to really think about like how do I tell my story? And one of the I'm saying this to you like you've already read it, and this is like and you've asked me these questions, but I have to tell you just in advance of it coming out, and I do hope you buy it and you read it, not just because that it will actually help to support me and the channel, but oops, I said I wasn't here to sell a book, and I just violated that, but whatever. But it's the first 3 chapters of my book have nothing to do with Scientology. One of the difficult decisions that you make, I think, for me in writing a memoir, is where do you start? Because you can't say, you can't start with, you don't want to do it was a dark and stormy night mistake of starting a book. You don't want to say, I was born September 26, 1949, right? And you just don't want to start there. So I really struggled with where to start. And originally I started at the moment that I first set foot in Celebrity Center, and I was addicted to drugs, and my girlfriend had just died, and my world was just thrown into chaos. And these people, for some reason, they surrounded me in this warm cocoon of emotional support, which Scientology is capable of doing. It's one of the ways they draw you in. And that didn't really work, because I wrote that, and then I read it, and I went, nobody's going to know who that person is. They're just not going to know, right? So it starts when I was about 15 years old, and if you have any interest in the counterculture of the 60s and 70s, you're really going to get a kick out of those first 3 chapters, because I had an incredibly unique, what do you call it, a front row seat to those goings-ons. I grew up in Little Canyon, which was at the center of that was the epicenter of the music scene and the drug scene. And real quick, please, if you have a question, type a bunch of question marks or write question or 3 Qs or whatever, just to help me, because I want to answer your questions. So anyway, yeah, and I grew up in Little Canyon, and the bands like the Mamas and the Papas and the Birds, and we'd hear them rehearsing on Sunday afternoon, and it was just like our neighborhood. I used to sneak into the Whiskey A Go-Go and watch the Doors, and it was just really crazy shit. So yeah, if you're interested in that stuff, I mean, some people who read early versions who were like, wow, I thought I was going to read about Scientology. It's not really for those people. Some people were looking for, like, they expected me to write like a textbook about, I didn't mean to click on that, but the SB Chefs, I meant to star it, but since it's up, happy Thanksgiving to my friends over the big pond. I'm very thankful to all I have. Counting my blessings has helped me a lot with my perspective in life and my depressions. Greetings from Cold CH. Well, thank you so much, SB Chef. I'm glad you're here. I think this community is, wow, it's really something. It's weird that, here's a question. This is from Dyer of a Ditch Witch. I didn't mean to be taking questions yet. I just kind of stumbled into it. Sorry if I already asked. Did you find it emotionally difficult to dredge this stuff up for the book? I hit a wall every time I try to do it. Yes and no. The end of the book, which I'm not going to give away, not the end, but the third chapter before the end, second chapter maybe before the end, there's some things that I went through which were unbelievably difficult to confront. I had 3 people helping me edit the book, and I wrote this. What I did was I discussed something that happened, and then I hinted at it, and then I jumped 2 weeks forward and slowly got back to what happened as a memory. You see what I'm saying? So the book in some degree is a little nonlinear, and they were completely lost. And then I looked at it, and the device I used was 100% valid because it's something I would do in a film, and that's all I knew how to do was to write films. But I bounced off of it too quickly, so I went back and I wrote more of it. But anyway, I think I'm most happy about the end of the book. It's so difficult to end a book when I can't, I'm still in it. So I can't say, and then at the end of the book, at the end, my life is great, and I got a deal with Netflix, and I got a 5-season series deal, and everything's it's not wonderful. It's like it's difficult, and I'm struggling, but it's like I'm not here to talk about that. But my point is, it was difficult to end the book, and I think I found a way to do it, and I hope you agree with me. And so, yeah, to answer your question, was it difficult? Yeah, a lot of it was difficult. Some of it wasn't. Some of it was kind of fun to write, because to me, a book is I write, the way I write is the whole idea is to trigger a movie in your brain, in your mind. I want you to feel like you're watching a film without, saying, long shot, close up, exterior beach, whatever, later that day. It's not written like a screenplay, but it's written like I could easily adapt this book into a screenplay. I wouldn't do that because it's just, I don't have any interest in doing that. Maybe the first 3 chapters. But so it's a really visual book. So I was so engaged in trying to create this what do you call it? This language, this architecture of language, this kind of, because books to me are very architectural because they're the final solid product, where a screenplay is a transitional product. You're going to take that and then make another product. It's no less a piece of art, but it's very different. Like a book is like a building. You construct it, it's done, it's not going to go anywhere. So I had a lot of fun putting all the bricks, or I shouldn't say fun, it was really engaging, putting all the bricks there. So people would walk in and they'd say, wow, I really like this building. Maybe that's a bad metaphor. So I have about 10 more minutes. I'm going to go over and have Thanksgiving, my son and I, with Rachel Hastings and her wife and their kids. So thank God for that. I should mention that this last year, Rachel and I were good friends when we were both working for the church. But, we're really good friends now. She's I'm so fortunate to have her as a friend and a supporter. She has been, 'cause we only live about 15 minutes apart. And I know you guys know who I'm talking about, because if you watch my channel, you've met Rachel, and you've seen her with Mike and Leah, and you've seen her with Aaron, and you've seen her with, I guess that's kind of pretty much it. So, that's the deal. So if I have to cut this short a little bit, but I mostly wanted to reach out to you guys, because you have no idea what a key role you have played in helping me to recreate an emotional support system that actually helped me to rediscover my identity, or I should say, discover my identity, because you lose it in a cult. The trade-off is they define your identity, and they define it in a way that is 100% to their benefit, and that's a fact. And so, anyway, and I have made such good friends. I'm not even going to go through the list because I'll leave people out, but you know who you are because I interact with you, and I am so grateful to have you guys and to have had this experience and this journey. I had no idea that this was where it was going to lead to. So anyway, I've covered a lot in 20 minutes. I just want to say, hey, Selena, hi, how are you? I hope you're having a lovely evening in Wales. I'm thinking, who the hell else is here? So many people I haven't mentioned. So you know what? I think, why don't we, let me see if I can back up here. And I answered that question. Oh, by the way, Selena, I didn't read this before I put it up, so I'm not going to answer that. Never mind. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. I'm embarrassed. It's this question: do you know that you are lovely, you are lovable, and you are loved? I didn't know that actually. I think I still have. I have the spillover self-esteem issues. But thank you, Selena. I appreciate that, and I can feel it. So we have. So, pause for Andrea said, she said this at the SB Shep, but I'm going to read it anyway. Every person who speaks out with their background story is helpful and inspirational, even to us never ends. And I realize that. I don't know that I like the term never end because I don't think it has a bad connotation, but I mean, we all came from whatever places that we experienced our abuse. So in that sense, never ends. I think of you as brothers and sisters that we didn't meet until now. So, but yeah, I appreciate the comment. You're 100% right. I have to tell you that for the first year and a half after I left, and just before I forget, a lot of people told me, you shouldn't write a book so soon. You should wait and get some perspective, because most of the people who left and wrote books, they did them some years out, 5, 10 years, and they were sort of reflecting back on what happened. And I think there's a lot of advantages to doing that and getting the perspective and getting the distance, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to write it. I wanted to document what was happening while it was happening. Like, I wanted to write a book that was being written by a very traumatized person that was going through all this trauma. So it was really tough because it was hard to be honest. I have a few people to thank for keeping me honest. Probably first and foremost, my oldest son, Evan, who really gave me a hard time on a few issues. Like, he read a few things and he was like, no, that's bullshit. And so he really challenged me, and I'm very grateful to him. And then there was my friend who's an artist, INS. You can look her up on YouTube. She's a fantastic artist. She's a musician and a good friend of mine. And she kept me on. She had her own Scientology story and her own background in trauma. And she's an amazing artist. I'll put a link later to her blog. She's really an inspirational artist for me. And she helped keep me honest about some things I was writing about, like the purification rundown or psychiatry, and I had to read some of my things. And she was a little bit like my son, where she would say, nope, that's bullshit. You need to pull that piece of cult chunk out of your brain and look at that again. So in some senses, it was difficult to write it, because it was like, I'm still going through it. Okay, here's kind of a sneaky question. Cindy Taylor says, will you forward our love and gratitude to Rachel and family this evening? Of course I will. I'm going to tell her that I intended to tell her that I was streaming, which is why I'm probably going to be a little late. And, I do tell her, I get so many comments about Rachel and how much people like her. And the other night we did a stream, our Tuesday night movie trivia stream, and Rachel's never going to have a channel. She refers to herself as a guest star, and she is. And I've said many times that nobody has friends in Scientology, because a friend is somebody you can confide in, and you can't confide in people in Scientology. But I have to say that Rachel, who I knew since she got in, so I knew her for about 20 years, I think I would have confided in her if I needed to. She was mostly in LA and I was mostly at the base. And then when I would go to LA, sometimes I'd pick up a crew there, the local guys. The way that it worked is there were these remote, this is before Scientology media productions, there were these remote crews that would travel around the world. She was like the star player of that group. Teams of 3 would travel around the world and they would shoot these very staged documentaries. So yeah, I worked with her in LA and she was only up at Gold for very little. And, but she and I were always conspiring. She wanted to come up and work with me and, become eventually direct. And I was very supportive of her Sea Org career when that's what she wanted. And then, of course, I was not, her gender identity and all that stuff was never a point of, not that I would ever have cared, but it was never entered into our relationship because we were colleagues, we worked together, we liked each other, and that was enough. But the reason I bring this up is I think that, what was I going to say about Ray? I think that when I say nobody has friends in the Sea Org, she was definitely the closest thing that I had to a friend. And of course now, I have friends like that I've never met in person, that are dear friends that I would confide in and I know would hold my innermost thoughts in confidentiality if I was having some problem and I needed to talk to somebody. And that doesn't happen in the Sea Org at all, or even in Scientology. So I want to just make a comment here. April in Amsterdam says, any movies we should watch you prefer for the next trivia night? I don't, if there was, I wouldn't tell you because it wouldn't be fair, but I'll tell you this. I haven't told Sterling or Rachel yet, but one thing I want to do is I think we need to do a little criticism because it's the end of the year. So we need to do throw in a little bit of reviews. I'm not caught up on films. I'm very behind this year. But as a DGA member, I'm starting to get screeners, so I'll be caught up within a few weeks because I'll just be inundated with films to watch at home. And I'll go out to some screenings and blah, 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 but whatever. But what we're going to do is I'm going to ask this, so think about this, because I'd like you guys, anybody who's going to join us on Tuesday night, please contribute to this. I want to look back at the streaming services and talk about the best things that we saw this year, like what were the really quality, memorable things. Some films that, they don't go into the theaters, they're just on Netflix or whatever, or the best series. So it's kind of the best films and the best streaming series that you saw this year. I definitely have a lot to say about that because there was the typical amount of garbage and a few absolutely outstanding, too good for this world shows. So if you want to think about that, because we want to talk about it. Tamber Grable says, Home Alone this Thanksgiving. Need a movie recommendation as well. I love Tuesday nights with you and Rachel and Sterling so much. Yeah, that's worked out really well. It wasn't an original idea because I was kind of inspired by, they were doing this trivia, Sterling and Reese were doing this trivia thing. And I thought, oh, that's a cool idea. I just wanted it to be really focused on something that was an area of my expertise. And I really wanted to use it as an excuse to also talk about filmmaking and films and movies. And okay, so here we go. A comment. I just bought your paperback, bitch, from Amazon Australia. Delivery on Monday. My twin son's birthday. Yay! That's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that because, wow, I'm so glad they made it available because I wasn't sure because I'm doing, I'm going to do a segment with 60 Minutes Australia in January. And they've been very gracious and very interested in my perspective on it because my perspective is very different. They've done a lot on Shelley and all this stuff. So really happy they reached out. And they want to read the book. They want to talk to me at the book. So that's super, super cool. Thank you for that. You just made my Thanksgiving by telling me that. I had no idea. Where I have to, okay, there we go. Okay, somebody asked for, I'm trying to find it. It just went by Somebody asked for a recommendation. Yeah, well, okay, look, it doesn't matter. April in Amsterdam, okay, great assignment. I'm not even sure how many streaming services I have, but there's a ton of them. Well, just like, think about it, look back. I mean, it's just, there's been some amazing shows this year that just completely blew my mind. I have to tell you that I don't mind a, what do you call it, like a guilty pleasure, like a mindless romp. The greatest one is probably Armageddon or a Die Hard or a Tom Cruise movie. You know, these kind of really high quality, these super high quality pot boilers, action adventure films. They're very well made. Marvel films, I enjoy those, but that's not what moves me. What I really like are films about people overcoming adversity, people discovering love, discovering that they are loved, discovering their identity. You know, to that end, I'm going to recommend the Naiad on Netflix, the Diana Naiad story. She was in her early 60s. She's a gay woman who was an athlete who swam from Cuba. She fulfilled her 30-year journey goal to swim from Cuba to Florida. And it's an amazing film starring Annette Bening and my brain is not working today. And Rhys Ifans, and it's unbelievable. Okay. Let's see what this is. Cat comment, Mitch, I wish you were my fun, snarky, intelligent, artistic uncle. Oh, newsflash, I am. I love your insight, and it's been wonderful to see you flourish as you're out longer each day. Thankful for your freedom. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you saying that. I can tell you something. The first day you realize you're starting to be okay is the day you go, what the fuck was I thinking? And then that starts to get louder and louder and louder and louder until eventually you don't have to say it anymore. Okay, so Steve Britton says The Fifth Element. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen The Fifth Element, that's, you know, next to The Wizard of Oz, I would say The Fifth Element is maybe the best movie you could watch on Thanksgiving. So good. Yeah, okay. I don't think anybody will disagree with that. Power to Paralyze. Just about your book on Amazon also. It would be here Sunday. Where are you? I haven't checked the website to see if the paperback has gone live. Wow, this is yeah, I love that movie too. The Inappropriate Heifer says, so I'm amazed people are, wow, so Selena, it's already out. Oh my God, that's fantastic. I hope the file's okay. Like, okay, look, I shouldn't say that, but I didn't get approved. Like usually authors, self-published authors wait until they get approved. Yeah, if you're in the US, yes. So Shelley S. says that US Amazon only shows the Kindle version. That's because they have to, you know, hold true to the release date, which is tomorrow. Okay, I have to read this. Carolyn Warastica. Carolyn Warastica, I hope I said that right. Funny that Kat just said that. I think the reason I love watching your channel is you remind me of my uncle when you chuckle. It makes me smile. I hope my jokes are better than your uncle, because my uncle's jokes were just like, you know, they were worse than dad jokes. Wow, this is really exciting that out of the country, I had no idea. And I will get you an audiobook as soon as I can, I promise. I myself, if you know, if it's a person's story and they read it, I really want to hear it. Yeah, I will definitely on the live feed share the link to my book on the live feed. Well, you just have to go to, okay, I can do that. You have to go to Amazon.com. You have to go to Amazon.com and you have to just, you can search, I think you can just search Mitch Brisker. And let's see what's happening. Excuse me, I'm going to just do this real quick. Yeah, there it is, Scientology, The Big Lie. Mitch Brisker, and the link to U.S. Amazon. If you guys are out of the country, you're not going to be able to get this. I think you'll be blocked from the link, but we'll give it a shot. Anyway, there you go. That's what it looks like. So you can copy that and put it in your browser if you're in the U.S. and it'll take you there. But like we just found out that oh my God, this is amazing. I just bought it from Amazon Netherlands. Won't be delivered until next weekend though. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is great. This is really exciting. I'm so glad that okay, we got 10 more minutes because I have to be at Rachel's at 5 and it's 4:20 now here in beautiful Los Angeles. Oh yeah, well of course, because in Australia it's already, okay. Japanese movie, The VA. Cynthia Ortega's Japanese movie, The VA. I don't know what that is, sorry. Carolyn Worstika said in Australia it's already Friday the 24th. Well, this is great because on tomorrow I can send a text to the producer at 60 Minutes Australia and tell them it's available and they can buy it, which is great because I thought I was going to have to order a copy and have it shipped to them there from the worldwide wholesale distributor of the book, which is Ingram Spark. Yeah, 421 in LA, that's right. Okay, look, wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Inappropriate Heifer, if things don't start looking up, maybe I can just call you and I'll read you the book, okay? So we'll figure something out. I mean, I don't mean that literally, but I do mean I'd be more than willing to help. And here this is available on German one, French, Italian, Spain, Amazon. The physical version's fantastic. This is great. Boy, Amazon, they don't mess around. Okay. Artsy Tartsy, a.k.a. Kelly. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Greetings from Jacksonville. Hey, Jacksonville, nice to see you. Okay, here's how you get an autographed copy. What you do is you go to my Indiegogo campaign. It's posted on my channel page. If you go to my channel, if you're not subscribed, thank you for doing so if you choose to. And it's prominent. There's a link to an Indiegogo campaign. If you donate $50 to the campaign, that money goes towards marketing the book into bookstores to get that message out, to get that title, Scientology, The Big Lie, in bookstores by Christmas, so that Scientologists and CERC members who can easily avoid seeing the title on Amazon, on the internet, but they can't avoid it if they walk into a bookstore. So if we can get enough buzz going with ads, which I'll be dropping ads tomorrow, then we can get that message into bookstores. To me, it's as important, if not more, than selling the book. It's just getting the message out there. So if you go to the Indiegogo campaign, you donate $50, then you'll get a signed copy. And then I'll work out something later. Okay. I'm a sucker for this question. Oh, another Amazon Australia. Where is this? Okay. This is from Willow Tree. Of the films of yesteryear, what is your pick from 40s, 50s, and 60s? The visual dialogue, etc. Well, I think from the 40s would be, I think I already said Sullivan's Travels. I think that is 1940. There's a whole bunch. I hate being pinned down like this. But yeah, definitely Sullivan's Travels. I believe that's 1940. The 1950s would be Rebel Without a Cause, East of Eden. Who else? Giant. I'm just talking about what's his name. One of my favorite directors, whose name escapes me, who directed Rebel Without a Cause. I'm trying to think what else in the 50s. 60s, oh, wow, that's a tough one, I would say. And somewhere in there, I'm not sure if it was probably the 50s, would be 12 Angry Men, would be another one. But but we're also just talking about American films. So in the 60s, Lawrence of Arabia, West Side Story. I think that's enough for now. Tamara Gable said, I love the musicals, but need to try to watch dramas from then as well. Yeah, I guess I just said, yeah, so 60s. Oh, sorry, I just remembered my number one all-time probably 60s film is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop and Love the Bomb. How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. This is an absolutely amazing film. And as Selena pointed out, my mouth is dry, Lawrence of Arabia is definitely a dramatic film. And in my opinion, it's the greatest screenplay ever written. And here's a question. What are your thoughts on Metropolis with the rock and roll soundtrack? Oh my God, that soundtrack, what a tragedy. That was, I'm trying to think, he was a big disco guy. He was an Italian composer, big disco guy. I can't think of his name right now, but it was a total embarrassment. You know, they tried to colorize it, they tried to do this, that, and the other. I think it's just like, whoever did that thing, Giorgio Moroder. Giorgio Moroder was the Italian composer, and they tried to do a disco soundtrack to Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and it was just horrific. But thanks for asking. Yeah, actually, Strangelove, it might also be on one of the streaming services, but if you've not seen it, it is one of the, if you ask me to name the top 10 films ever made, in addition to the first two Godfathers and Apocalypse Now, it would be Dr. Strangelove. So yeah, I think that we didn't get up to the 80s, but yeah, Dr. Strangelove. But try to get a good copy of Dr. Strangelove. Like if it might be streaming on, what's that thing called? HBO, what do they call it now? I forgot. So where are we at? We're at 4:27. We have like 3 more minutes. So I have 10 stars. Well, I got to get through the stars real quick. Okay, guys, stop. Okay, can you just, I'll come back later and we'll do more. But just for now, let me off the hook because I got to get over there. And you know, it's really hard for me to not attend to your questions because I'm obligated to you guys because you guys have, you know, you like, in a way, they gave me a little bit of a, you know, what do they call it? Resuscitation. So you helped me to resuscitate my spirit. So here's a question from Barbatree's question. Tried to order your book, but it was Kindle only. Will the paperback be available tomorrow? Absolutely. I think we already answered that. Yeah, the thing that really pisses me off about Amazon is they only do pre-orders for ebooks, and they don't even put like coming soon, like even without an order. They just don't do it. So, I didn't mean to put this up, but what the hell is it? Is that me or is Mitch particularly beautiful tonight? I turned my lighting down, I put on a turtleneck, and I wore my sort of shiny glasses. So maybe that's it. But I think it is you. The next one, it says, the emotions, yeah, power lies to paralyze. Emotions are all part of the triumph. You're absolutely correct because it's that thing of being bottled up. You just get bottled up. You're like, no, especially in Scientology because you're like, you know, you're not supposed to experience emotions below a certain level or you need to run to the register and buy some auditing. So Cindy Taylor says, I loved watching your journey and viewing it from your unique perspective, Mitch. Thank you so much. Mitch, you are amazing. That's what my mother used to say, but I really appreciate it. Question, sorry if I already asked you. Okay, sorry, we already did that. But thank you again for that. Okay, so these are the ones, some of these okay. This is Happy Thanksgiving, Mitch. Sending you best wishes from Osa. This is from Sex Bad, which I love I love everything about that. I love your little icon and the name and whatever, because having been a member of a very sex-negative organization, which made you, it didn't object to you having sex, just wanted to make sure that the whatever kind of sex you were having, it had a lot of guilt associated with it. So I appreciate that. But speaking of OSA, I mean, I had people I liked at OSA, believe it or not, back in the day, a few, and a lot of people at Golden Era Productions I liked. One of the reasons I didn't speak out, especially the people at Gold, because they had helped me at times, genuinely, and because I didn't want to spit in their ice cream. But then I realized after a time that not speaking out, it only helps the abuser. It never helps the abused. And this is, okay, good. So I got all those. Okay, good. So I'm going to bring this thing to a controlled landing right now. And I wish I had more time. This has been fantastic. Anyway, I just, hold on one second. I have to do something. Okay, this is just, have I told any of you recently how much I hate StreamYard? Oh, I guess so. I just did. Okay, look. I'll be back doing this soon. If you haven't had dinner yet, I wish you a great Thanksgiving. If you've had Thanksgiving dinner and you're just hanging out with your family, I hope you just feel warm and loved and safe. And if you're in another country, I hope the same thing, just with maybe a little less turkey. So I'll get back as soon as I can, and we'll continue this on. And thank you all so much for coming by. Oh!